this is gonna sound wrong and people are gonna be like, nah, I don't believe you. But I swear that I remember being a baby. And I swear I remember this because I've been saying the same story since I was like 3 years old. I do have a photographic eidetic memory though, so, you know, it's not too far-fetched. I remember being a baby and laying down in my crib and feeling my little footsie socks and looking up at the mobile above me. And on the left side, there was a little nightlight that moved. It had stuff that would like move and glitter and stuff. And I was looking there and I was just so helpless and it was terrifying. That's what I remember about being a baby and being a kid, is being just terrified and incapable of doing anything for yourself. So you just kind of sit there and the only thing you can do is cry. And it's not because you wanna, it's because that's all you got. You can't move. You don't got words yet, and it just sucks. That's why I cried all the time. It wasn't because I knew what I needed, and so I was trying to signal to my mom, like, I need something. I cried because it was awful, and it was so uncomfortable. And I felt the diaper rash, and I wanted to talk to my mom, but didn't know how. She was a random giant, and she didn't understand me, and I just wanted her to pay attention to me. Sleep and I were never friends at that time. I would lie awake and I would cry and lie awake and just hate my life. I've always had trouble sleeping my whole life up until I was like a late teenager when I started to really dive into it and figure out why and what I can do to make my sleep actually exist.
I find that when I feel the most well-rested and the most energized throughout the day, it's always the day that I remember to take my vitamins. And I want to take all the vitamins that The what? In vitamins? Hey, go off, new word. My vitamins. I don't want 80 different jars in my cupboard. No, when I need my vitamins and I need efficiency, I call Care of. Thank you, Care of, for sponsoring this video. Love you bunches. You guys have heard me talk about them probably 18,000 times.
Oh my god, my Care of packaging today says a group of porcupines is called a prickle. That's fantastic. A prickle. Who'd have thunk? That's perfect.
Care of makes it easy for me to take my vitamins every day. I can track my progress and how I feel using the Care of app and earn rewards when you take your vitamins daily. You can also just take your pack of vitamins and put them in your car, put them in your desk at work, wherever you want. It is the beginning of January, which means everyone's worried about their health. Like resolutions, you know, I want to be healthy. Do you see supplements as part of that for you this year? Feel free to click the link down below and take Care of's quiz to see what vitamins and supplements they recommend for you. And you can use my code, Paige Layle, to get 50% off your first order with Care of. Pretty gnarly. Thanks so much, Care of, for sponsoring today's video. And now, let's talk some more about sleep. Can you tell I did not take my vitamins yesterday? Let's flash back to see me a few days ago.
My biggest thing was I didn't know I was autistic as a kid and that I was PDA autistic, and it almost felt like I was scared of sleep. It wasn't. I knew I wasn't rationally. Like, I'm not scared to sleep. I'm not scared of bad dreams. It was just more like the idea of it just gave me anxiety, and I just wanted to push it back as much as possible. If not, I'd be lying awake in bed for hours and hours, trying to go to sleep and hating the fact that I wasn't asleep and counting down the amount of hours that I'd have until I woke up, which how many hours would I sleep for, which would that be okay for me to function the next day? Probably not, because they told you that you need at least 8 hours of sleep every day when you're a little kid. First thing when I was a kid, I started like little, I would be watching a Disney movie in my parents' bedroom, and I would fall asleep in my parents' bedroom, and then when I fell asleep and my parents would come to bed, my dad would pick me up and walk me to my bed, put me in bed, and that was it. That was dope. It's way easier for me to fall asleep while watching something or while like doing something. It's way easier. My brain gets off, I can just, and then it's hard for me honestly to stay awake a lot of the time. As I got a bit older and started falling asleep in my own bed, I would beg my parents to stay awake until I was for sure asleep. I'd be falling asleep, I'd be like half asleep, pretty much asleep, and I'd hear the TV go doom doom and turn off, and then I'd be and I'd run into the living room and be like, please stay up for a little bit longer, I'm not asleep yet, please stay up for a bit. A lot of times reluctantly my mom's like, fuck, fine, or one of them would be like, okay, sure, I'll stay up for like a little bit more. And if they told me the amount of time they'd be up for, I would not fall back asleep. I just have PDA, okay? And sleep just was awful and I just couldn't get there. And I don't know if that's just some kind of equalizing or control. It didn't feel like mischievous or like I'm like punishing my parents. It didn't feel like that at all in any way. I don't know why. I just felt like in order for me to be okay sleeping, my parents needed to be up. Almost like I needed to feel like I wasn't the last one to fall asleep. Therefore, it's okay. I didn't get like the worst sleep ever. I don't know what it was. There was no logic to it. It was just feeling. And it was just feeling bad and scared. I didn't get any help for this. I didn't get literally any help for anything. The only thing that I could help myself with was my mom's mom, my grandmother, who I haven't seen in forever, would tell me to repeat over and over to myself, I will not dream about bunnies. Then she said, you'll dream about bunnies. And I would just repeat, I will not dream about bunnies over and over again until I could fall asleep. And I would just try to think about bunnies, but other images just kept popping up in my head. And it was like a TV was going in my head all the time. And it was so hard to fall asleep. The more I wouldn't fall asleep, the faster my heart would race and the worse I'd feel about not falling asleep. And I'd be panicking and bawling my eyes out and sobbing in the middle of the night. And there'd be days where I'd go 2-3 days without sleep at all just because I could not fall asleep. As my parents were like, okay, no, we want to go to bed, Paige, figure this out. They would start leaving the TV on for me and then kind of sneak away so that I kind of wouldn't know if they fell asleep or not. Then they would put the TV on a sleep timer so that it would shut off after a bit. I hated that because sometimes Dad would put the sleep timer on for like 20 minutes and then I'd hear the doo-doo after 20 minutes and I'd have to run out into the living room and turn it back on and put the sleep timer on for like 3 hours. So I did not have to think about it and be scared about it and be waiting for it. There were a few things. There was one thing in particular that really helped me the most with my battle against sleep. And now that I think about it from a PDA perspective, it really makes sense. I started taking the birth control pill when I was like 14, 15, which is freaking wild. But I would take it every night, and it was usually kind of like my indicator for bedtime. So it was usually after I took my birth control pill that I'd be stressed and like, okay, you gotta get going to bed. So what I did instead was I put my birth control alarm for 1 hour later than usual. Which in a way was like me rebelling against sleep, was like me equalizing against sleep and having to wait for it, having to withhold it from myself. I figured, Paige, you're gonna be up for this amount of time anyway, so you might as well be up and doing stuff. You might as well just like push your bedtime a little bit and just, you know, be doing so that when you get to bed, you're probably gonna be more tired and more likely to want to fall asleep. I remember on the first night, I was like waiting to take my pill and I was sitting on the floor of my bedroom and I'm like, nice, this is so good because I'm starting to feel tired. It's almost like I'm like, oh, I wish I could take my pill now so I could just go to bed. And me not being able to made it feel better. I also think it gave me control over my sleepiness. Because I was so sleepy all the time and not sleeping, I felt so helpless because I knew it was due to my insomnia. But because I was withholding sleep from myself, the sleepiness I felt the next day felt like it was mine and that I did it to myself, which felt way more okay than the other way around. I was like, this is what happens, I did this. I read this quote, pretty sure it was from Stephen King, that said, sleep is like a cat. It only comes to you when you ignore it. And I'm like, my philosophy, I think, is correct. I need to withhold a little bit of sleep for myself, make myself more tired also throughout the day. Like, that's probably going to work. And just try to not sleep. And by trying to not sleep, I mean when I'm watching a movie, when I'm reading a book, that's when I fall asleep the most. So this is going to be fun. It all just made me feel so much more in control of my bedtime and in control of my sleepiness and of my body and of my tiredness. I started using a weighted blanket, which was really helpful for me. At the time, they were like $400 to buy because only the autistic kids were using them. Now they're a lot more mainstream, so I can get one for like $30. Definitely helpful in keeping me asleep, keeping me from moving around and waking myself up, and helpful for nightmares, I find actually. Over time, I started spending a lot less time in my bedroom so that I would only associate my bed in my bedroom with going to bed. Having a TV in there was really nice for a long time. I still sometimes will watch something to fall asleep when my brain's going too fast and I just need it to go numb for a bit and I need to follow someone else's brain for a second. It's so awesome. But I'll only watch TV in my bedroom at night before I go to bed. I no longer count or worry about the amount of hours I slept. I'm just like, go to bed, get up, do life. You feel away, that's life. Also, a lot of therapy and yoga has got me to this point where I can fall asleep in like 10 minutes. Does this sound relatable to you or your loved one? If so, comment below. Let us know. Joe, bro. Yo, yo. One of my things is like rhyming. I just love rhyming. I can't stop rhyming. I'm a rhyme master. If you like this video, if you like me, feel free to give this video a thumbs up. It's a free way to help your girl out. If you want more content like this or something, you can always subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified when I make more videos, such as this. If you want different kinds of videos or any kinds of videos, you can go in the description. There's a little where you can fill in, ooh, I want Paige to talk about this topic. Submit some stuff. Big thank you to Care Of for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you go click the link in the description to get your deals of Care Of today. 3 months now until my book comes out. You can order your copy for pre-order below. Also, audiobook is coming out, my dudes. It'll be recorded soon. Anyway, I love you. Talk autism stuff and do more things now that the holidays are over and I have more spoons. I'm so excited. Love you. Talk soon. This is the end of the video song. This video is to tell you the video's done. If you're hearing this, it's because the video's done. Go watch another one. Boop, boop. Have a good day. Love you so much. Bye.